What is up? Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Helliepod. Very pumped to be introducing this week's guest, a three-time Pro Bowler, a former NFL rushing champion, and the pride of Jacksonville for most of his NFL career, MJD, Maurice Jones-Drew. Has some tremendous stories from his rookie year. Also going to tell us one NFL head coach that he would never play for, no matter how much money you offered him, and an offensive coordinator that should have been a head coach yesterday. MJD, that transition from the Bay Area to UCLA to Jacksonville was very interesting, and you're going to want to hear about it. It's the Helliepod presented by Viore with MJD. All right, here with one of my all-time favorites from NFL Network, Maurice Jones-Drew. And MJD, when we were thinking about starting this podcast, we were talking about just doing it on somebody's rookie year. So a big chunk of this is going to be focused on rookie year. And obviously, everybody knows you came out of UCLA and a second-round pick. And that was the draft, too, where you also had two USC running backs selected ahead of you as you fall into the second round. And that's the reason that you wore the number 32?
That was one of the reasons. It's funny because coming out of high school, like obviously Reggie Bush being from San Diego, I'm being from the Bay Area, we always were been compared to each other. And I actually had the opportunity to go to USC. They had one running back there, Herschel Dennis at the time. But the backstory a lot of people know is they wanted me to play both ways. I was a decent safety coming out of high school. So Troy Polamalu just left, went to Pittsburgh. So they were like, yo, we kind of see you in that role as well. And I'm like, look, I want to touch the rock. I know what I want to do.
You want to know part of defense in college.
I mean, yeah, at that point in my life, I didn't want to tackle people anymore. Like, I was done tackling. We had played some pretty big teams throughout my high school career, and, like, I didn't like the way I felt after tackling these big dudes. So UCLA comes in, they're like, yo, you're strictly going to play running back here. So I was like, cool, I'll go there. Obviously, they had a running back coach that was my size, Eric Bieniemy. So I knew at that point, like, he could give me the tutelage and the knowledge to get to the next level. So, we all leave after our junior year, and the draft comes through, and, like, the one concern that everyone had was, like, how fast is he and how tall is he? And I was like, look, well, I can't really tell. I can't change how tall I am. Like, that's something I can't do. But I could show you how fast I am. And at that point, that year, I ran like 10.5 in the 100, and we were actually, if I didn't leave, I was going to run track for UCLA at that point. And so, I went out there, ran 4.3, did all those things, but people just couldn't get over my height, which was one of the, which was crazy to me because football is a game of leverage. But once I got drafted to Jacksonville, it was kind of like, all right, I have to put that behind me. But I never wanted to get complacent. I never wanted to be a guy that came in the building every day and was just happy to be an NFL player. I always wanted to strive to be the best. So one of the ways that I used was just wearing that number 32. So every time I looked at it, it would remind me of how I felt when, some of these dudes were getting drafted ahead of me, And, it definitely ends up being a great story. But every day I would look at that number and it would just make me go harder, right? Like the days that I didn't feel like waking up, or the days I didn't feel like pushing myself in practice, looking at that number and remembering all the stuff that I went through was like, this is why I'm going to go out there and I'm going to go to work every day.
You remember those running backs in that draft that were
drafted? I remember
every
last one of them.
Yeah?
I almost remember a lot of other people as well, but you want me to name them to you?
Sure.
First was Reggie Bush. I want to say second was either D'Angelo Williams or Lawrence Maroney.
The second and third, got it.
Then it was Joseph Adai.
Yep.
And then Lindell White.
That's it.
And then here's your boy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is,
You being a Bruin in L.A., you're always playing second fiddle to USC, especially during that time frame. So did it piss you off even more that, Reggie was either going to be the first pick or the second pick.
Right.
That was a given. We knew that.
Right.
But the Lindell White went ahead of you?
The only thing that upset me more about Lindell is the process of it. Lindell had a really good college career. Obviously everyone loved how explosive Reggie Bush was, but in some of those games, Lindell had literally closed out a ton of those games. But he didn't run the 40. He didn't really do much at the combine. His pro day kind of shut it down early, right? And so like the process of what everyone else went through, he didn't go through. And that's what upset me more than anything. And it's funny you bring that up because I remember we were playing the Titans and I'd be like, yo, like, y'all took him over me. Remember that, you know what I'm saying?
A little extra motivation.
Yeah, and and like I said, I love Lindell. Lindell's awesome. He's a great dude. But it just, to me, at that point in our career, like, I just felt like he took advantage of the process. He was like one of the first dudes to not do anything, you know? And so when everyone else is like pushing themselves and getting there and you know, grinding and all that, I mean, he was working out as well, but he got hurt or whatever it might have been. He didn't put the numbers up that we had all put up or that I had put up. And so it was one of those things. Like I remember being on draft day, getting a call from Tony Dungy and the Colts, waiting like for the second call to come back to be a Colt, getting drafted by, or getting a call from New England, right? They're supposed to draft me, they don't. Getting a call from Carolina, they don't draft me. Denver at 15 takes Jay Cutler instead of me.
So they're calling you to say we're not going to draft you?
Well, no, they'll call you to be like, hey, we just want to give you, like, you're up on our chart. Like, we just want to make, like, so they get you.
Make sure you're around.
Make sure you're around, right? Pittsburgh calls, right? They take Santonio Holmes. So then we get in the second round, and, like, there's dudes that I've never heard of before in college, like, getting drafted at this point. And it gets frustrating for sure. And it's so funny because when Jacksonville picked me at 60, I was like cool. Like, it came across the board. I was happy. Literally after that, like, my agent starts getting calls from teams like, why didn't you tell us? Like, we'd have traded up for him. Like, you should have told us that all this was going on. Like, woo. Like, I'm like, you drafted all these other dudes when you could have took me in the first round. So, like, so again, like, that number represented so much more than just, like, getting passed up. It was just so, like, many other things. And so I just used that as motivation every time we would play a team that, or, you know, I got to play the Colts twice a year. I got to play the Titans twice a year. I mean, Charlie Cashley picked Mario Williams and D'Amico Ryans over me. You know, like, it was just like, and I work with him now.
You still remind him of that?
Every day I talk to him. I'm like, you know why you don't have a job, right? But no, it's like all those things, they push you. You use them as motivation to push you. Like, yes, I love the game, but, you know, I had a lot of success as a rookie, and those were the reasons that I kept striving to be better, was because of, like, little events like that throughout my NFL career.
Do you remember when you got there, your first mini camp where everybody was there, where the veterans were there?
Campy, I remember because it was the first time I met Fred. And
Fred Taylor.
Fred Taylor, yeah, and I was kind of like, I was nervous at first because, you know, I get drafted in the second round. I'm a running back.
He's the guy there.
He's the guy there. And first day I was like, look, man, like, I don't know, like, kind of how this whole thing plays out or how you feel about it. I was like, look, I just want to learn as much as I can about the game from you. Like, big fan, watched your tape. Like, I just want to pick your brain. And it's funny because the person I trained with in the the combine process, the pre-draft process, Fred trains with him. So it was like we had that connection. So he called Fred and was like, look, like, this is my guy, like, you'll like him. And so literally from that point on, like, the rest of my career, I trained with Fred. Everywhere he went, I went. And I just trained with him, and I just picked his brain.
That must have been huge. Because he could have been a guy that's like, listen, I'm 8 years into the league. He had a down year. He only played 11 games that year.
There's a bunch of dickheads out there, man. Like, but he was... And it wasn't even that he had a down year. Like, they drafted me to return punts and kicks and be a third down back. Like, it just so happened that I could play first and second down. But even though those first couple years when I was with him, like, I was like, bro, I just want to come in and impact the game and help the team win. Like, I care less about stats at this point. I just wanted to help us win because, you know, you had Byron Leftwich, who's a really good quarterback. We had Matt Jones. Like, as much as people want to talk about, Matt Jones was a 6'6" wide receiver who ran a 4.3 and could catch the ball like nothing and ran great routes. Like, we had weapons. We had tight ends. We had offensive linemen. We had a defense that was
dogs
top
on
five.
defense.
We had everything you needed. And so I just wanted to come in and really just impact the game. Now, like, I have to tell you this story because it's crazy. So the first day I get there, you know, I had dreads and, like, I'm coming from California. I come from San Francisco to L.A., and I go down to the South. And so, like, everyone there has dreads or gold teeth. You know what I'm saying? Like, dudes are, like...
Come from Pahokee and Immokalee and South Florida.
They're a little bit different than what I'm used to.
Sure.
And so I remember, like, sneaking in the bathroom and calling my agent, like, Like, bro, like, where am I? Like, I feel like I'm in prison. Like, this is because they were all of them great guys, by the way, all of them, but just they're intimidating. Like when Greg Jones walking around with his shirt off, like I'm like who are these dudes? You know what I'm saying? Like it was just crazy, and it was funny because like they were all nervous of me because I had like some issues in college, like some like fighting issues, so they didn't kind of know like it was like we were all kind of like trying to fill each other out a little bit, but. It was one of the best experiences of my life because I learned how to deal with one being comfortable being uncomfortable, which was awesome.
Which, by the way, makes you grow as a person.
Oh, fast.
And you need to do that every year.
Well,
or two.
you need to do that every day down there, right? But then two, like those dudes, they weren't afraid to tell you when you were wrong, like if you were doing something that wasn't okay, and so like they pushed you, like it was crazy, like so, like I ended up just. You know, coming from a place where I'd never seen anything like this to being adapted to it like that, you know? And I remember the first time we get into training camp and John Henderson is, you know, 6'5",
Tennessee
6'8".
Vol, baby.
Yeah, that's your guy, 340 pounds, whatever
Bad
it may be.
man.
And I'm asleep on the couch. And Fred always told me, like, look, don't ever let them catch you sleeping. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, and it was one of those dog days of training camp. We had 2-a-days.
Dude, I've caught you sleeping before at the network.
Yeah, you have. I know. You have caught me talking about hazing, rookie hazing. And Big John comes in with this blowhorn. He's screaming like, where are all the rookies at? Woo, 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 woo. And I wake up like, oh, shoot, here it's about to go down. So I'm trying to sneak out. And as I sneak out, Marcus Stroud comes in and is like, I got one right here. Uh-oh. I was like, oh, what are y'all about to do? So I go in there. I'm like, look, I'll do whatever. Like, just don't touch my hair. Like, don't cut my dreads. Like, oh, no, we'll never cut your dreads. So they cut my eyebrows off.
Oh, no.
So for 2 months, I didn't have eyebrows.
You were eyebrowless?
Eyebrows.
It takes 2 months for eyebrows to grow back?
It takes a lot. Like, your hair normally just don't grow right here. You know what I'm saying? It's not. And
so you had dreads and no eyebrows?
No eyebrows for 2 months. And then I ended up cutting my dreads just because it was so hot in Jacksonville. Like, that's the other part. Like, you gotta remember, like,
humidity is different out there. I'm an East Coast guy.
Yeah, LA is so, like, perfect. It's 75. Like, I'm at UCLA. We don't have a bubble. We have none of that because you don't need it here. It rains 2 weeks out of the year. Like, you're good. Like, our rainy season is over now. It rained in January. It's
2 days.
done. Yeah, like, we're done.
Yeah.
I get down there. It is 1,000 degrees outside. And then it rains and it gets hotter after that. So I'm like, my head is, I got this NFL playbook. My head is spinning. I got these dudes hazing me, like making me sing my fight song, telling them how much I got paid, which I don't even know at this point because I haven't signed I did sign my contract then, but it's just like I'm still worried about all this other stuff. And then eventually this all clicked. Like once the regular season hit, it just clicked.
You had a great rookie year. You had almost 1,000 yards. You had 13 touchdowns. You had over 40 catches. You were an awesome 1-2 punch with Fred because he went over 1,000 yards. I think you basically lengthened his career there in Jacksonville. Was there ever a point in time, though, when you felt like there were guys that weren't rooting for you to succeed?
No, not there. I mean, there was games my second year where I felt like, I remember there was a game we were playing Buffalo, and how it kind of went was my first couple games, my first year was kind of like, we're going to ease you into it. And then my third game, we played the Colts, and then they were kind of like, all right, we're going to go with the hot hand, whoever gets hot. But Fred would always be like, he'd always get the beginning of it. Like, we're going to put you out there, give you a chance to get hot early, and then if you're struggling, we'll put him in and he'll put me in and we'll kind of go. But I remember we were playing Buffalo my second year, and we are slapping Buffalo. I mean, we are slapping them. But for some reason, I cannot get off. I mean, I couldn't do anything. At one point, I think I had like 6 carries for -9 yards. I was disgusted with myself. And I'm in my, like, then you start to go in this like, man, why are they calling these plays for me? You know what I'm saying? Like what is going on? All these different things. And eventually I ended up breaking a run and I ended up getting into positive and I ended up having like 50 yards on like 10 carries. But like that might have been one, or there was a time we played the Panthers one time. We were all in agreement. Like Fred had deserved to go to the Pro Bowl and he hadn't been, and it was ridiculous that he hadn't been. And so we were campaigning for him to go to the Pro Bowl, and we were playing the Panthers, and we were blowing them out. I think he just had like maybe like 150, 160 rushing. and I was kind of coming in. And when I came in, they had me block Julius Peppers. And I gave up a sack, and they started yelling at me. And I was like, what do y'all want from me? Like, this is not success, you know? But after talking with the coaches and kind of sitting down, they were like, it's not like we wanted you to block Julius Peppers. That's just kind of how it happened. Like, the line checked to a protection where I had to come and block the end, and it just so happened to be Julius Peppers.
One of the greatest of all time.
And he got a sack. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but when you're, I was so used to having success so quickly, when you don't have it, you automatically start thinking like people are against you.
Was pass pro the hardest thing for you as a rookie? Because for most rookie backs, I feel like that's the one thing. If you can't pass protect, you can't be out there on the field.
Yeah, no. So that was the easiest thing for me because at UCLA, like we ran the exact same offense. We ran a pro style offense at UCLA, and Eric Bieniemy was like, he used to tell us as a 17-year-old, like if you can't pass block, you can't play. So there was times like my freshman year, I wouldn't play in games because I would be missing. Guys would just be flying by me because it's moving 1,000 miles an hour, you know. But when I got to the NFL, it was the same blitzes that I was seeing in college at that time. The pack it wasn't none of this spread offense. There was none of that. It was all pro style. So you were seeing the same stuff. And so when I got to Jacksonville, that was easy. The toughest part was just like the speed of the game was so fast. Like I was like Julius Peppers ran like a 4.4. Like you just got guys that are bigger than you, faster than you, but you got to find a way to be successful. You know.
Is it those guys? Is it the Peppers of the world? To me, when I'm on the sideline during an NFL game, the most impressive thing to me is the way that guys like Peppers move. It's not running backs like you or wide receivers making great catches. I remember a couple of years ago, we had Frank Gore on a Thursday Night Football postgame show when he played for the Colts. Colts won the game. He was exhausted, like literally couldn't put a sentence together because he was so tired. I'm like, dude, what's wrong? He goes, I've just been blocking Clowney all day. Like, that guy's a freak. I mean, and that's the one guy that comes to mind that's like Pep.
Yeah. No, I mean, I played against David Clowney. I mean, you run into some of these dudes. The thing is like, at that point, the body control is so crazy. Like, I remember being in practice, and, you never want to touch the ground in practice. You want to, like, thud up and go. And I remember running full speed at someone, and them running full speed at me, and then either they're ducking out of the way, and I'm ducking out of the way, like, in a split second. And so the body control is crazy. So when you get in these games, like, I was fine with Julius Peppers and those guys. I mean, yeah, they're more athletic than most, but it's all 11 guys, how fast they get to the ball and how quick you have to make movements and adjustments. And you are exhausted after games. I mean, that's why guys train so many crazy ways now. I just remember, like, when the Elevation Max first came out, and, like, guys were using that, trying to control your breathing and just so you can be in shape, because you have to play like it's a marathon. And, like, throughout this marathon, there's going to be a lot of things that go on the field, off the field, in the building, outside the building, that you have to handle and be able to let go and, get back out there and play. And so it's a lot, man. It's I train with, like, it's funny. I train with Frank Gore, Fred Taylor, Thomas Jones, Matt Forte, LaShawn McCoy. And every summer we'd go train and we'd push each other to be, like, the best we could be. Because you need guys that are at your position. You need to see, like, pretty much your competition, what they're doing.
Who are all the guys who are on the same level?
Yeah. Oh yeah. There was a ton of guys. There was a bunch of other guys as well. Those are the guys that came off the top of my head. But I mean, we had a ton of dudes. Like Le'Veon Bell, when he was young, he trained there. And so, like, you're just pushing each other every day to be the best you could be.
Time now for a quick break so I can tell you about our presenting sponsor, Vuori. I think it's about time that you invest in your happiness. And this is a smart move, because not only are you going to feel good, you're going to look good. Vuori clothing, performance apparel that you need to have right now. Not only do you look good, you feel good. It's the most versatile performance apparel on the market. It is soft. It is comfortable. It is functional. And it's one of the favorite things that I own. I wear it all the time. When I was traveling, I would wear it on planes. I wear it to the beach. They have these core shorts that have liners in them. You don't need anything else. Just slip on the shorts. Perfect for hanging around the house. Perfect for working out. The bank shorts, also very cool. It's kind of the board short / workout short all in one. They have unbelievable joggers, sweatshirts, and t-shirts as well. It's Vuori, VUORI, clothing.com /Helliepod. That's where you go to get a 20% discount, VioriClothing.com/Helliepod. 20% off right now. Go there. I promise you won't be sorry. Now, back to the Helliepod.
You had a lot of characters on that team. You mentioned a couple of them on defense. I think that rookie year, you had 2 Pro Bowlers. I think Rasheem Mathis.
Yeah, Rasheem Mathis,
and
yep.
I think Henderson were Pro Bowlers on the defensive side of the ball. What was the craziest thing you saw? You came from a big-time program in UCLA. You came from one of the premier high schools as well. That what 120-game, 150-game winning streak at De La Salle?
151.
That's incredible. But there are, when you get to the NFL level, you see stuff that you're like, what the hell is going on here? Like, what was there something in season, or like guys pulling all-nighters at a club, or like anything you started like, man, this is not what I expected.
You start to learn that everyone is different. Like when I got there, Jimmy Smith had just retired. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't know if you know the Jimmy Smith story. Like, literally, the day I got there of mandatory minicamp, like, he was in the locker room, and then he was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And then we found out he was getting drug tested, and then it was kind of like, that was it. Doing it. So, there's all type of guys in this league that you learn or you hear stories. I remember seeing guys, and I'm not going to say, I remember, like, coming back to the stadium a couple nights just because I forgot something, or, it may be 10 o'clock at night, guys are in there gambling still.
After a game?
After practice.
After practice.
Yeah, after a game, everyone leaves.
Right.
I remember one time coming back, it's probably like 11:30 at night, because I wanted to sit in the sauna and get some extra sweating and try to drop some weight before we weigh in.
Can't
the next
imagine
day.
that with you, man.
I'm getting skinnier now.
You look good, though. You've lost a couple lbs.
I'm trying to drop it. And, like, guys are in there drinking. Like, just
in the locker room.
In the locker room, just chopping it up.
Because your practice facility was at the stadium.
At the stadium, yeah. And so it was just like, there's a ton of different things, like, and I've heard other stories, but it's just like, to me, I couldn't do that. And that's what I learned. Like, that's what you learn very quickly in the NFL. Like, either you can hang with some of these dudes or you can't. Like,
so it's just like know your lane, basically.
You just gotta know how you gotta get down. And so, like, I would go out and party and have good times, and I'd, pull all-nighters and go in there and get in the sauna and try to sweat it all out. I remember there was one night we were playing the Colts in my rookie year, and I went out Thursday, Friday night, and then before the meeting Saturday, we went out with my boys, came home, and I didn't think I was going to play that much in the game. I was going to play, but not like, a massive amount. I was going to return kicks and punts, and then play a couple offensive series here and there. And so, I was pretty hammered 3 nights in a row. And so, wake up that morning, and I get to go to the stadium. I sit in the sauna, try to sweat out as much as I can, drink a couple Pedialytes. I'm like, I'll be fine. No big deal. Well, Fred gets hurt in like the second quarter. He ends up pulling up. And so now I'm the guy. And it's like the beginning of the second quarter. So now I have to do most of this running. And it's not like we're breaking. This is the game where we rush for 375 yards. So we're breaking off runs like this. Like I'm going 60 this way, 60 that way, hungover. Like rolling cats up, taking 90-yard kickoff returns to the crib. And then eventually I just cramp up and my body shuts down. I learned at that point that ain't for me, Like I had a ton of success. I had a chance to break a record in the NFL and all these different things. I think I was like 30 yards away from an all-purpose record in the game.
I remember CP, Clinton Portis, telling me one time his best game he's ever had was when he was the most hungover of his life. It's funny how that works sometimes.
You get super focused. But I just knew, like, that's not what I wanted to be, right? Like, but again, like, I was young. I was 20, 21 years old. World had all this cash in my pocket.
Well, you gotta live a little.
You gotta live a little, right? And so I learned, like, very quickly, like, that's not what I want to do, right? Like, I don't want to do those things. I don't want to be like that, because I didn't like the way. I love the way I played, but I didn't like the way I felt after the game. Like, I was super sore. My body was like parts of me were hurting that I've never hurt before. I was just kind of like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Well, you figured it out, man. You made 3 Pro Bowls. You're an All-Pro. You led the NFL in rushing. You did have that holdout, right? So you signed that 5-year, $31 million deal, and then you were angling for another one.
No question.
Right? And then so you have that holdout, I believe it was May of 2012.
Yeah.
And when you look up that holdout, you Google some of the articles, it said, accomplished nothing, It's a lose-lose scenario, and it didn't change anything. So immediately what comes to mind for me is, did you ever reach out to Melvin Gordon while he was going through his holdout?
No, not at all. See, I think to the outsider, yeah, like it might have didn't accomplish anything that they thought I should have accomplished.
Right.
But for me, you know, what they didn't understand during that whole process, it's crazy. In 2011, we were actually reworking. We were actually like redoing the deal.
How many years into the deal were you? Like 2?
2. Okay. No, it was 3.
3. Okay.
Yeah, so I was on the back end of my deal.
Right.
At that point, you know, our GM had like literally taken the whole team away, and we were rebuilding again. We were playing teams that had 8, 9 guys in the box every week.
They're stacking the box.
They were stacking the box every week. And we were, and when I say we, I'm because it wasn't just me that deserved to get paid. It was the offensive lineman, Greg Jones, my fullback, our tight ends, even our receivers were selfless enough to go out there and block. Like most receivers don't want to block. These dudes are out there like going in and getting safeties out. And my response was, okay, we were redoing the deal, and then the owner sold the team. So what was told to my representation was that, just give us a second. We got to kind of figure things out, and then we'll get back to it in the offseason. So, all right, I was like, hey, I'm gonna keep doing my thing. Things will be fine. So the offseason comes, and my agent goes and starts talking to him, and all of a sudden it's like they don't even remember this conversation being had. Like, it's like, oh, I don't know.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you talking about? No, we're looking to build and do this and that. And I'm like, hold on, bro. Like, we were literally in conversations, like, talking about restructuring and fixing this thing so it looks right. Because at that point, I think Chris Johnson had just got paid. I had outperformed him. Like, all these dudes were getting paid. Arian Foster, everybody was getting paid, and I was still outperforming them. So I'm like this whole honor your contract thing, I don't believe in that. Because if I don't perform to a certain level,
well, they can cut you.
You can cut me or ask me to take a pay cut. So why, when I overperform or I outperform this contract, or when I'm getting X, I'm paid because of the market has changed. I think you need to work with me. And then so the communication at that point started to fail.
Well, so how did it end?
Well, I mean, I felt like it ended ugly. Like, it got to the point where my kids were in school, you know, and Jacksonville's a very pricey. People started saying stuff to my kids. I really didn't like that. It ended with, I sat down with the owner and I kind of explained to him what I felt, what I needed. For me to come back. And to be honest, I should have never came back. To be honest, I should have never came back.
But you liked Shad Khan, the new owner at the time.
I had no problem. It had zero to do with him. And I think that's where, like, he felt it as personal.
Right.
It was strictly business. It wasn't an attack on him or anyone else. It was strictly business. But I should have never came back. Because I come back, and it's crazy because I don't do no training camp. I don't do anything, and I think going into week 7, I was the leading rusher in the league again. On this shitty deal, excuse my language. I don't know if we can.
Yeah, it's podcast.
Yeah, it's podcast. It's a shitty deal, and I'm leading the league in rushing. And so, literally, we go to Oakland, and my agent's like, maybe 2 or 3 days before the game, like, oh, we just talked. Like, we're gonna sit down and get this thing figured out. And I break my foot, and that was the end of it. I mean, it ended with me coming back, holding a press conference. But I was just like, at that point, I was kind of like, it was less about the team and more about me showing my kids, like, you have, when you say you're going to do something, you do it, right? And I said I wasn't going to miss any games, and I didn't. But I wish that I was thinking differently. Like, I wish I would have had me now back then, because I would have been like, I would come back week 10. Like, literally what Le'Veon did, right? Like I'm not, like, Le'Veon he is a very business savvy person. And I think a lot of people don't, like, they're like, oh, you lost money. Like, to the average person, yeah, $14 million is a lot of money. No question about it.
Yeah.
No question about it.
It's more than the average person, I think, to anybody.
But this is what I tell people, $14 million in this hand, and he got 30-something in this one. Like, he won. Period. And he got out.
He won MJD. Like,
how was he going to get?
Because he could have.
So you think? So if he would have got 400 more carries in this amount of money, you think he would have got this?
Yeah.
You think Pittsburgh? No, there's no way. He had 3 years of making 400 touches.
He has a good. He was coming off consecutive great seasons. He has one more of those. He makes his 14, and then he gets the 30+ guaranteed.
How does he? But how do you know that he's going to make that? Because in our game, the reason I held out is I can go out and practice and tear my ACL, and then I'm done.
True. You don't know. And
you don't know.
And that's the difference with NFL contracts and NBA contracts.
And that's why, as NFL, you have to do certain things. And so for me, like, I wasn't going to risk my neck going out there again. Like, literally, there's tape of we were playing the Titans in 2011 in like week 14 or something, and we come out in 22 personnel, and they literally have one DB out there on our receiver and everyone else in the box. That's 10 people in the box. But I'm not worth it. To everyone else in the league, I'm worth it, but to my own team.
Right.
And that's always going to be the problem.
We see it all the time. Le'Veon Bell's a perfect example. But mentally, you were just kind of over.
Look at what happened to Pittsburgh since Le'Veon Bell's been there. What has happened? Have they made the playoffs?
No. James Conner has risen to a point where he is not. Well, look what happened to Le'Veon Bell. James Conner's a good NFL running back. Le'Veon Bell, he was not worth the money to the Jets this year.
The Jets didn't use him. It's not that he wasn't worth the money. Literally. So this is the funny part, and this is where we have to look at the landscape completely different. I think we look at it as a player's fault. Adam Gase was in Miami,
right,
with Ryan Tannehill, Kenyon Drake, Devontae Parker, Kenny Stills, and couldn't do anything. And these dudes go other places and flourish. So it may not be the player. It may be Adam Gase is not a good coach.
No, that could be the point.
It may be the fact that Adam Gase doesn't give Le'Veon the ball. So how is Le'Veon supposed to ball when you don't give him the ball? Like, I don't. You see what I'm saying?
That's a fair point. That's 100% a fair point.
So how do we know if he's worth the money or not if you don't try to get it going? And that's where.
But is he still a top 5 running back in the NFL right now?
Most definitely, I think he is. You can utilize him in different ways. Like before, there was Christian McCaffrey. That's what Le'Veon built. They all changed their game off of him.
Right.
Like Christian McCaffrey, when he first got to Stanford, wasn't this tremendous route runner. But he saw the way Le'Veon Bell was running and doing the certain things that he was doing, becoming a versatile guy like Matt Forte and other guys. And then they changed their game. Look at all these young guys now. All of a sudden, everyone can catch out the backfield. When I was playing, everyone couldn't catch out the backfield.
It's not like Le'Veon Bell's the first running back that ran routes.
No, but he's the first one to do it be a first and second down back. Like you're talking about like Kevin Falk, who was at the Patriots, who was a third down guy, right? There's a lot of third down backs who could catch routes, but they couldn't be first, second, and third down guys. There weren't many of those.
Yeah, I know a few. You're right. No, I get your point. Marshall was a great one of those.
Yeah.
And, obviously, Roger Craig, the 2,000 guys. That's interesting, though.
Start to think about guys that like LaDainian's one.
But of course, they had Sproles. They could do it when they needed him to, but he also had that third down back.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like it's not many guys that can do it. And like I was one of the guys that like they forced me to do it. That wasn't what I was used to doing because in college I never really caught passes.
Right.
But then I had to learn how to do it. But like Le'Veon came out of college, Matt Forte came out of college, being able to run routes and do so he's changed the game. It's not his fault that his coach doesn't know how to utilize talent. Like how does Devontae Parker have this great year the year after you leave? Like
first 1,000-yard season in 5 years.
That's what I'm saying. Like so whose fault? Like let's be honest. Like whose fault is it really at this point?
So you would not want to play for Adam Gase if you were.
I would never play for Adam Gase.
Okay, you're not an Adam Gase. I get it. I'm
trying to figure out what has he done. Like what has he done?
He made the playoffs 1 year in Miami. That's what he did.
No, before he got the Miami job, what did he do? He coached with Peyton Manning?
Peyton Manning. And Peyton has gone to bat for him at every job.
Obviously, I mean...
he has some sway. The man has some sway.
So now I look at Peyton Manning like you're a great quarterback, but coach evaluator,
Don't talk about
I'm just being honest.
Like
I played against him multiple times. He's a great dude. He's a great guy. But evaluating coaches...
He's had some good ones.
Yeah, but Adam Gase ain't one of them.
Well, maybe Adam Gase was a great quarterback coach, offensive coordinator. Right?
He may need to be a quarterback coach.
You see that all the time.
He may be a quarterback coach, not all. Because he's the OC. He was the OC in Miami. He called the plays in Miami. He called them in New York.
Let me ask you about Jack Del Rio then, since he's going to my Redskins as a defensive coordinator. Is that going to work?
So I'll tell you. So when I got to Oakland, after I left Jack, I got to Oakland, and part of me going there was kind of help them, like, fix their culture, and like that was part of it. Granted, I wanted to play, but a lot of that was me going there and helping fix kind of what they had going on.
You knew. We've talked about this before. Yeah. You knew that was the end.
It was
your last contract. You signed a 3-year deal, but you, in your head, did not expect to make it 3 seasons.
I was going to try to play 2, and then the third one just kind of try to steal it and do my thing. But at that point, it was like after seeing where I was, like, and what the Raiders, what was going on, I was like, well, this is going to be a lot, right? Which is fine. Like, I was okay with it. Ton of talent. They had everything there, but like the facilities were just it was just different.
It's very antiquated.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yes, that's a great word for it. It wasn't. So, anyways, after the season, they fired Dennis Allen. They have Tony Sperano there, and I get a call from Mark Davis. I'm literally landing in Vegas for my wife's birthday. We go to Vegas every year for her birthday, so we're in Vegas, and I get a call. And they're like, hey, like, we need you to help us with our coaching search. I'm like, all right, like, it's the first time I've ever done it, but I get it. I play for some coaches, like, who are the list? And so they gave me the list. I made some phone calls to some guys that I know they're a coach with them. And
they gave you the list of people they were interviewing for the head coaching job?
Yeah. They told, not actually, but they told me the names.
Okay.
And then they had Jack Del Rio, and I was like, I know Jack is such a stickler on the little things. He's such a stickler on it being clean, just the little stuff that it needs to be done that would change the culture right away. Like, it wasn't about, like, a lot of times to change the culture is not about football. It's about how people walk into something every day, right? It's about, making sure that the word excellence is throughout the whole building. But not
the food, the facilities.
Yeah, the food, the cleanliness, the facilities, the way people are treated, all those things. You just don't say commitment to excellence just because it's commitment. Like, no, like, everything has to be done off that, and then players will buy in. So I really harped on to Mark Davis that, like, I think Jack Del Rio is probably your best candidate. I think that he's going to come in. I don't know who he's going to hire. Could care less who he hires, because it's not, again, this is less about football. It's more about changing the building. And he did that. They went to the playoffs 2 years later. Like, and so what he's going to do with the Redskins is, I don't know that building. I don't know. I'm assuming it's in tip-top shape. It's one of the, I don't know.
It's okay. It's actually not that great.
But I think that he's going to come in with Ron Rivera, and they're going to have a plan together. Look at when he went to Denver, their defense changed like that. When he went to Oakland, their defense changed like that, right? He's going to fix the defense however it may be. I don't know if he's going to still be a 3-4, if he's going to go to the 3-4 or 4-3, but he understands both. But it's going to be whatever the message is, it's going to be throughout the whole building, right? They're going to be like the little sayings on the wall, but also, like, there's not going to be trash on the floor, right? You're not going to have, like, toilets stopped up. You're not, like, this is just little stuff that happens.
Which is hard to believe that it happens on the NFL level, but there are places where it happens.
I mean, it happens everywhere. It happens in Fortune 500 companies. I mean, like, it has to be the same message from the top to the bottom. And that's what he does. That's where he was at his best. And so that's why I think, he's going to be a great hire for him, because the Redskins have a talented defense. Yeah. He's going to put guys in position to be successful. So I think it's going to be a great one.
Oh, I hope so, with Ron Rivera and Del Rio. All right, 2 questions before we let you go here. You've mentioned Eric Bieniemy now twice in this interview. I know you think very highly of Eric from your days at UCLA. There's been much made of the fact that he's the latest offensive coordinator for Andy Reid. The last 2 are head coaches in the NFL.
It's very discouraging, I guess is the word, because, Doug Peterson never called plays, got the head coaching job at Philly. Andy Reid never called plays, got the head coaching job at Philly, right? Matt Nagy calls plays for 6 games. He just has a title, but he calls plays for 6 games, goes to Chicago. And then this dude, literally, in Patrick Mahomes' second year, like, is having an impact on calling plays. Now, I don't know, like, that last year, I don't know if he was calling plays. I know there were some points in the games that he was really involved. But Patrick Mahomes was the MVP. He threw 50 touchdowns, right? This year, he is calling the plays. Like, I literally watched the game and see him calling the plays, and people are like, no, Andy Reid's calling them. Like, no, he may be helping or guiding, but he's Eric Bieniemy is talking to Patrick Mahomes or Matt Moore at that point, right? When Mahomes got hurt, they still were winning games with Matt Moore scoring points. Like, what else do you want? To me, it seems like, again, I'm just a guy out here, so I don't know.
Talk to me, dude. That's why we're doing this with you.
And that's what I'm telling you. So, like, I'm a production guy. This is a production-based business. Like, people only come to the games. You only sell tickets when you win, period. And I don't know some of these guys. I mean, Matt Rule seems like he's a great college coach, and he did a great job with Temple and Baylor. And, he's going to go in there. But you have to understand, the rah-rah stuff doesn't work all the time, and not in the league.
Not every college coach translates into the NFL.
No, that doesn't happen. I don't know if he's going to be good or not. I don't know. I hope it works out for him. I think that the owner for the Panthers, Tepper, is doing a great job of trying to build that Pittsburgh mentality, having to coach for a long period of time.
David Tepper.
Yeah. So, but like, look at what Mike Tomlin did for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He wasn't the sexy choice. Yet he hasn't had a losing season. Like, they get upset because he went 8-8 this year without his quarterback, without a running back, because the running back was hurt the whole year, and AB was gone. Like, literally, like, he was just out there with dudes.
He was on his third-string quarterback. I don't care who you are. When you're on Duck Hodges, your third-string quarterback from Samford, it's going to be tough to win ball games.
And you went 8-8. Yeah. Like, you were in the playoff race. Like, that was crazy.
They were talking about him for Coach of the Year for a while.
He should be for Coach of the Year.
Right.
Because no one else could do that. I've never seen no one else do that. And so I sit back, and I don't know the special teams coach from the Patriots. I don't know him
Joe
at all.
Judge.
Yeah, I don't know anything about him. I mean, I could probably reach out and call some people, but like at the end of the day, like doesn't that feel like Pat Shurmur? Doesn't that feel like, a little bit. Doesn't that feel like McAdoo? It all feels the same. Like
I think when you go through this interview process, people are looking for different things. And
I just want winners, yo.
Right.
Like, I just want to win. Like, I could get, like, you have an explosive offense. Okay, you have Bro Holmes, you have this track team. How can we get that over here?
So, but is that Andy Reid? Is that Bieniemy? That's what people are trying to figure out. Bieniemy was running backs coach to OC. So what I'm saying is, you see people all the time succeed as head coaches. John Harbaugh is a perfect example. He was a DB coach and a special teams coach.
No, he was a special teams
coach in DB. He did both.
But let me tell you why he succeeds. Because he has an offensive coordinator that's a head coach, and he has a defensive coordinator that's a head coach. And those guys, throughout his whole career, Rex Ryan left, Chuck Pagano left, Gary Kubiak left, right. Jim Caldwell left, Greg Roman's probably going to leave soon, Wink Martin. All these dudes are all head coaches, and he allows them to coach their sides. The same thing when the Rams,
you're saying head coach of the future. I mean, Greg Roman has not been a head coach. Wink Martindale has not been a head coach.
They will be,
I agree.
For sure. But part of being a head coach, and this is what people fail to realize, you don't coach anymore.
You organize.
Yeah. And that's where Eric Bieniemy, I've seen it. I've been in the meeting rooms with him. One of the most organized people there is. Holds people accountable. Some people may not like him. That's fine. I'm not supposed to be liked by everybody. You want to win? Like, not everyone likes Bill Belichick. Not everyone likes Pete Carroll. Those are two different guys that do two different things. A lot of people don't like them. But you know what? They hold people accountable in their own way, shape, and form. And then they challenge guys to be better. There was a time in Kansas City this year where Eric Bieniemy and Travis Kelce got into it. Because you know why? Travis Kelce wasn't blocking. And
he shoved Bieniemy on the sideline.
And he said something, and he shoved Bieniemy on the sidelines. And the leadership that it took to swallow your pride as Eric Bieniemy and to go over there and be like, look, bro, like, let bygones be bygones. We'll deal with this later, but I need you to block. And Travis Kelce was like, you're right, like, my bad.
And they hugged it out. Same game.
What other coach do you know can do that? Like, not only the fact, Eric Bieniemy, like, this other part that I always try to get people to understand about the NFL. The locker room, the locker room chemistry is so, it will win you games, it will lose you games. Period. It will win you games and lose you games on the respect in the locker room. And respect is shown by how much you're paying someone. Okay? So if you're paying Joe Blow over here who ain't ain't doing nothing, I'm going to look at the person at the top. I'm going to look at the coach. Like, don't tell me you're about being great and successful in this and you're paying this dude over here and he ain't making no plays for us. You can't, and the thing with Eric Bieniemy is he's been in the locker room, right? He played in the NFL for 9 seasons. He can relate to any person on that field, regardless if it's a white quarterback from Mississippi or a black dude from New York. He can relate to everybody because he's been in the locker room. A lot of these dudes have never been in the locker room before.
And I feel like Bieniemy is like Vrabel in that he's kind of been every level of NFL player. He's been a running back that gets 20 carries a game. He's been a special teams guy. He's been a guy hanging on at the end of his career. Vrabel, very similar, right? Started in Pittsburgh and then goes to New England.
Which is one of the things I always tell people this all the time. Like, Mike Vrabel, the reason those guys believe in him in Tennessee is because he's been there before.
Yeah.
He can tell you the little nuances of what's going to happen in a game because he's played in some crazy. I played against him in some crazy games when he was in Kansas City. I remember one time he tried to cover me. That was a bad idea for him. Just messing with you, bro. But like that's why this team is bought in and they believe because you know what? My coach is telling me something that he didn't read in a book, that he didn't see, like that he did. That he's been in. And that is important. Like, granted, yes, there are a lot of players, there are a lot of coaches that have never played before that are successful. That happens. But when you have a team and you're trying to change some stuff and you're trying to fix some things, for example, if we talk about the Giants, how do you go in week 1 against the Cowboys, how does Saquon have 11 carries for 126 yards, but that's it? How does he have 11 carries?
Doesn't make any sense to me. The same thing you said about Le'Veon not having 20 touches.
Those are things that you have to feel the locker room. You have to have a beat in the locker room. And I know for a fact, because I've been to Kansas City. I'm actually going to Kansas City for this Houston-Kansas City game. And I know, I've talked to players there. People may not like Eric Bieniemy. When I was in college, I didn't like him either as a coach because he was hard.
And he was your position coach.
He was my position. He recruited me, like, out of the Bay Area to come to L.A. First he recruited me to Colorado, then I followed him to L.A. He's tough. He's hard. But I was an All-American. I broke 3 national records in college. Then I went on to have this crazy NFL career from a kid coming from a small farm town called Antioch in the Bay Area that you would have never known about. He challenged me to be better. Yet people don't, in this day and age, people don't want to be uncomfortable. They want to be liked. Like, oh, well, I think the guys are going to like him. No, I want to win. I can care less if you like me or not. Like, let's just win. I just rather win, and we can talk about liking me in the offseason when I have this championship ring.
So Eric Bieniemy checks a box for a head coach.
Oh, definitely. And it's crazy. He's outside the box. He's different. He's not the same type of coach. Like, and it's okay. Like that's the other part. Like, you don't have to have the cookie cutter coach every time.
Right.
Like maybe you might want to try this outside the box thing, and it might work. And if it does work, you're going to look like a genius. And then guess what? Everybody's going to start to follow your mold because that's what this league is anyways. This is the copycat league. But
it's not going to be the young Shawne McVays forever. All right, finally, before we let you go, I have to ask you, because I can't remember if we talked about this on air one time. You stoned Shawne Merriman in a game so badly, and this was during, like, his heyday, man, like when he was getting, like, 13, 14 sacks a year. And did you know at the time, like, as you're setting up, you're like, oh, I got him.
Well, we had set up. Well, so, he got set up. It was a setup. It was a setup job. It was set up throughout the week. Like, we were doing, because you have certain guys that are game changers that can wreck the game. He was definitely one of them, and he was getting a lot of sacks because they were running, it was, I want to say Wade Phillips was the DC there, too, at the time.
Yeah.
And they run a certain defense where normally, like, the strong side guy is getting blocked by the back or the tight end or different people. And so he was, like, taking advantage of guys. It was bad. And so we said, okay, we're going to do this on, like, the third drive of the game, we're going to take him out. But not like a bounty, but we're going to have different guys block. We're going to double team them. We're going to chip them. We're going to do all these different things. And then once we get down to the end zone, like, we're going to have you block them. And I was like, okay, whatever. And so throughout that drive, like, we had a receiver come and crack back on him on a toss play. We had our two tight ends block him and, like, drive him down. Greg Jones and I blocked him. Fred blocked him. We had a couple other dudes kind of get like linemen chip him. We just did a bunch of stuff. We got down to the end zone, and you can tell he was trying to figure out where these guys were coming from.
Because you were coming, it's like an ambush, like all different angles.
They're coming from everywhere. He was like looking, and so finally, I think he felt like I was coming and I was going to cut him because everyone at that point like cut him, and then my running back coach Kennedy Polo, who's with the Vikings right now, was like, "Don't cut him." He was like, he's going to put his hands down. You're going to hit him right in the chin. I was like, all right. So we get there. They call the play. everyone's like, "You gonna hit him up high?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm about to give him everything I have. All the cleans we've been doing, I'm gonna give it to him." And sure enough, like we come off the ball, the tight end bluffs him. He gets to Greg bluffs him, and then like he sees me and he puts his hands down like this, and
He was wide open.
he was wide open. It was one of those. It's like when you hit a baseball and you hit it and you can feel how sweet. It's like you don't even feel like, or you hit a golf ball. I don't even feel like anything.
Sweet spot.
Pow! I just caught him. He sat down. And it was just it was a great job by our coaching staff. Great job by all the other guys doing their stuff, and it just.
We are both friends with Shawne Merriman.
Yeah, I'm awesome.
He's a great dude, but that was, I can't remember if you were on the show or not, but we must have showed that thing 10 times on the NFL Network.
Yeah, he was funny. I mean, like, and it's funny, if you go back and look at the whole drive, you'll see different guys block him. Like, receivers were blocking him. Like, they were just coming from everywhere. And we were just getting yards, and it's set up perfectly for that to happen. And, yeah, man, he came down. He saw me. He thought I was going to cut him because everyone had cut him at that point. I just caught him up high.
It's amazing. Dude's the NFL's leading rusher. We're going to end this podcast talking about a block on Shawne Merriman.
Yeah,
but
that's football, man. That's the difference.
Thanks,
Appreciate you, Dan.
Appreciate you, man.
No problem.